dealer.
Okay, and with that, do we have any more questions?
Let's see. I can't really think of anything else that that I need to ask. So if you want to just throw it out to the community, we can go ahead and do that.
Party time. Hey, community, give us some questions. Bring it on. Are we planning to release a new battle frame? Can we go ahead and say hell's yes?
Has anyone noticed the last cosplay video we released? Might be something there.
Yeah. We haven't announced specifics, but we absolutely will plan to release another battle frame. Sorry, what am I looking at?
You made a timeline. How long will it take me over? You're on schedule.
A wizard is never late. We're doing fine. To be honest, I wish we were a little farther along in releasing more beta keys, but we hit some snags with server stability several months ago. Those of you in the chat who were on beta tests, thank you again for your patience on that. So, but once we got that ironed out, we've been inviting more people, and we're excited to do open world here pretty soon.
There's more questions right there, guys.
Oh.
Talk about graphics.
So all these resources that you're going out and collecting are for a reason, right? The progression in Firefall is really gear-based. So you're using these resources that you collect to craft new gear, as well as being able to upgrade your existing gear and potentially down the road some pretty awesome army technology. You know, a lot of Firefall is really about going out, chasing gear, building it, and then using it to dominate and hear the lamentations of the women.
So there's a question from Dantel. Will there be a full loadout system in the game, much like Tribes 2 for the PC? Our loadout system is actually quite a bit different. We have specific battle frame types that you can level up, you rank up, and as you're doing so, you can really customize your loadout however you want. Every battle frame has their own unique signature weapon, which you can customize. You can change how it fires, its reload time, its damage, and so forth. And you also can pick and choose your own secondary weapons. But maybe most importantly, as a specific battle frame, you customize your abilities. You mix and match which abilities you want to go into battle with. For example, as an assault, you could choose to go in with Crater and Afterburner, or maybe you're not so that's not your thing, and you're more inclined to stay on the ground and do more. You want to do more area splash damage, so you could load up Shockwave and Overcharge, and so you really can customize how your player goes into combat based on your loadout and based how you, the player, have customized your loadout to your play style.
See, the beer run's already started. Tiki starting.
Welcome to Tiki Time, guys.
Can we get a shot of our taps over here and the action?
Yeah, it is. We are nearing Tiki Time here in the office.
There we go.
How many character slots? Someone's asking something about character slots. I lost it in chat. But as far as characters go, we're not super concerned about that at this point. Currently, because really we believe that most players will focus on customizing each of their loadouts and leveling up each of their battle frames within their character, and and so we're not as worried about players creating, dozens and dozens of characters per account. And because we are a free-to-play game, there's nothing preventing you from creating a second account. So we kind of feel like we should make it easy for you to create multiple characters if that's something you want to do.
So I see a question there about what's your projected time frame after launch for vehicles. What do you mean after launch?
So we are working on vehicles now, by the way. Just to...
I was just going to leave that out there.
And actually, is a nice little tease for our beta testers. Stay tuned. In the near future, we will be introducing something cool on beta for you guys to check out.
I've got another question.
Good morning.
One of the things that I was really impressed with when I first started playing Firefall at PAX 11 was just how great it looked. I think you guys really are raising the bar on free-to-play games, and a lot of people have accused other free-to-play titles like League of Legends of being free-to-play, pay-to-win. And I'm curious, as a project that seems to be trying to foster a strong competitive scene, how do you intend to avoid similar criticisms with Firefall?
Right, so pay to win sucks. Life is like that. You know, if you don't have the money, you're not winning. You don't get the best house, you don't get the best car, and you don't attract the best women. We want to be winners in Firefall, so we're not really going to allow you to pay to win. You know, it's not whether or not, you know, we would make more money doing that. That's not the point. It's about providing you guys an experience to where you can excel based on your own merits. And yes, we will be selling items, but those items are around improving your experience, not giving you an advantage over your opponents. So items that, you know, we can see fitting into that category are time-saving items, aesthetic-based items, or stuff that's like really fun to do with your friends. Like, how cool would it be to have a deployable keg that you could pop down and you and your friends get drunk in Firefall wherever you choose? That seems like a pretty cool item to me.
It's essential freedom, really.
Yes.
Yeah, so internally we've actually, you know, taken it very seriously, you know, that we don't want pay to win, and we want to keep Firefall a skill-based game. And so, you know, we've spent a lot of time really kind of outlining potential things that we could offer in our storefront, and we really categorized them in kind of 5 different categories, and one of them was power, selling power, which, as we've just been saying, is something that we're opposed to. So that entire category of things that we could potentially sell, we've taken off the wall. We've just taken down and said that's not something we want to do. That's not what Firefall is all about.
Okay, I see a question about how many bosses and giants are there in the game. Right now, we're not featuring any of those in beta, and to tell you the truth, we're still working on making the Titan something that's really fun before you'll get to see it. So that'll be the first one you see when it's ready, but, you know, it's just not something that we're ready to ship right now.
Well, and who knows what's in the melding? I mean, I sure as hell don't. What's going to come out? I guess we'll find out.
The melding holds everything.
There was a question about whether we're using XNA, and the answer is no. You know, Firefall, we're writing our own tech, our own engine. We've been working on this for quite some time, and we started back in 2006. We licensed the Offset engine. Some of you may recall Project Offset. We were close friends with the group doing Offset. They're a bunch of great guys, and that really allowed us to get up and running very quickly. I mean, I think we opened our doors in January of 2006, and by March we had our first map that we were running around shooting people with. Shooting each other with, but we've really essentially kind of redone the entire engine ever since that time to really support the needs that Firefall has. And we have a lot of specific needs. Our entire tool chain, our pipeline is very custom, very specific. It's our own engine, and we're super excited about where it's at today. Will there be a maximum number of abilities a top-tier frame can hold? Currently, we're saying yes, and that maximum is 3, so that you're really forced to mix and match to choose from the many available abilities which 3 you want to go into battle with. And this was something that we actually early on, we internally, this is not something we ever shared externally, but internally we actually had 6 ability slots where you could actually equip all, 6 different abilities. What we found is it really becomes it takes away from kind of the action and the skill of combat and makes it more of a button mashing experience where you're trying to reach over to hit 5 or 6, and that really kind of took away from the core fun that we were trying to achieve.
Okay, I see another question about how big is the open world in comparison to WoW. Interesting thing, we never actually measured WoW in anything except internal, like, chunks. And so I can only tell you chunk-wise what it is, and then Firefall uses an entirely different chunk size. What I can say is that the initial playable area that we've built out so far is about 10 square miles. And of that, actually it's a little bigger now. We've added probably another square mile or a square mile and a half. And of that, it'll be surrounded by melding. 25% of that will be playable at first because we want players to actually work together to push the melding back to reveal more territory. But even that said, I mean, if you look at our Forge editor, which is our editor that we use to build the game, that's just one spot on the Earth. That's like 1/10 the scale. So our hope is to keep developing more and more of the places on the planet as players reveal more and more of the melding.
Monkey Can asked if we'll have in-game voice, and absolutely. We're a very social game. That's critical to us. It's important. We have text chat. We have a voice chat system that we built internally that we haven't rolled out to our beta testers yet, but we are anxious to get out there because we all know that voice can really help with strategizing and playing together as a team. Blueprint 14 asks, can we use an external controller for Firefall? Yes, we currently have support for controllers. That's something that we will continue to work on and make sure that new inputs, new UI elements that we add to the game map very closely to the controller so that those who prefer it have that option.
How are you guys going to be supporting the modding community?
Well, right now, this is something that we're still talking about internally because we started with just the UI, right? Our UI system uses Lua and XML much in the way that the WoW system does, but because we're a shooter, we started creating more and more really custom-specific widgets. So now we're wondering, well, gee, do we suddenly make it too complicated for mods? That said, I'd still like to find a way to do it, and we still want to look at it. It's just not a priority right now. As far as levels, one day we'd love to see that. Our tools are not configured for that. It's really hard to make a next-gen graphics game, and our whole tools, especially an online game, and our whole tool setup is set up only to run in Office. So we would have to rewrite that to make it an external thing. But I think that's a worthy goal. It's just not going to happen anytime soon.
But we, to kind of back up what Mark was just saying, like we have made decisions not to do certain, not to use like Scaleform or other UI engines, right, because specifically it would make it so that we couldn't support community mods down the road. So that is something that we think a lot about and we definitely want to support down the road.
So I see a question about will we be releasing more backstory lore, and another question about the status of the manga. The manga is being written by Orson Scott Card with Emily Card, his daughter, and illustrated by Joing from Studio Udon, and it's looking fantastic. We got the first issue in the can, all colored, but we're waiting to get issue 2 and issue 3 in the pipe because we basically want to release it very, very regularly. We don't want to give you issue 1 and then have you wait. We want to just release on the fly. So just a little bit longer, and we should start that process up pretty shortly here.
Hey, Firewater asks if you'll be able to support different player profiles for different module configs per class. What I'm hearing, if I'm understanding the question correctly, it's like when you go into PvP, will you be able to choose your offensive strength medic as well as your defensive strength medic? And the answer is absolutely yes. Our loadout system is specifically designed to support that specific thing. So we want you to be able to customize different loadouts so that maybe your offensive strength medic loadout is all about your vampiric beam so you can drain energy and some of your offensive style abilities. But your defensive one has self-heal and it has your overhealed beam and healing pulse, things like that. So we want you to be able to very quickly and easily jump between different Battleframe loadouts, and there you have it.
So I see one question from Artie Kazifki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. How often will there be content updates? So I can speak a little bit about that in terms of how are we planning to evolve Firefall over the year, and what does that mean in terms of frequency of contents. So as you, the players, are playing the world of Firefall, you are advancing the world of Firefall as you're playing it. Pushing back the melding will expose new areas of terrain. In these new terrain areas will be new resources which you can then use to craft new technologies. So as you guys are actually winning the war against the melding and pushing it back, you will have access to more and more resources which give you more and more opportunities to build more powerful weapons, better battle frame types, better modules, all those sorts of things, and eventually, going out and capturing your own bases.
So I see a question about, will exploration in the open world be rewarded? For example, are there collectibles on the top of high mountains? It's important to note that Firefall is actually, we feature horizontal progression, so that means that you're not necessarily super powerful at the top level versus, like a 30 versus 10 could still go head-to-head, and as long as the level 10 player was skilled can defeat the level 30 player. So what that means for our world is you don't just go from point A to point B to point C and never go back to point A. You need special resources from all over the world in order to craft some of this important stuff. And so you're going to need to basically unveil the world and explore it in order to find all of these unique resources.
You guys want to skip it?
So it looks like Zach5 is saying, can players play all 5 battle frames at start? And the answer is yes. We'll probably limit the number of customizable loadouts that you can try, but we don't know which battle frame you're going to like, and we're designing our battle frames, to fit different kinds of skill levels, from low twitch to high twitch skills. So it's important for us to give you the freedom to figure out which battle frame you want to start with, and then you're free to expand from there at your own rate.
D-Turbo Killer asks about our social experience, and is it glorified chat, basically, or actually are you going to be able to sit down with your army mates and make plans and have challenges and achievements? And, we have a lot of really big plans there. It is a lot more than just chat. We want to give armies really an identity. So players will be able to create their own army, name it, design their own logos, but actually go into battle together to compete for stats and rankings, and also to work together to collect resources in order to unlock certain technologies that your army will then be able to take into battle, both in PvP and in the open world. We have a lot of plans. We haven't worked on a couple of these things yet, but we have a lot of plans for allowing armies to actually coordinate scheduled games, to schedule out practices, and to be able to practice with them on their own or against other armies. And so there's a lot of stuff there that we'll be continuing to kind of roll out over time that we're super excited about.
FF Ganja asks, will the melding get more difficult as we reveal more square miles? I wouldn't say that the territory that you unveil is more difficult. Again, we're horizontal progression. You're just going to encounter new story missions as well as new types of dynamic events in that area. But we always want it to be a little more dangerous whenever you're near the melding curtain. So whenever you're close to the melding, the encounters hopefully will be a little more challenging than if you're in the safer parts of the area. I see another question from Master of FM. Will there be PvP stat counter implemented down the line? I assume you mean like ladder stats and everything else. In fact, Scott's been working on that for the past couple of weeks here with his feature team, and we've got some pretty cool stuff that's already working that I hope we can begin to push out to our testers. I see a question from Hoder asking how many girls I have in my basement. No, actually the question is, can you talk more about Stage 5 TV, the website you launched, and what you're currently recruiting for, and what's the use of this website? So we're not really ready to reveal in entirety what Stage 5 is going to be about, but we are looking for web developers in particular, both back-end as well as designers, and we're also looking for some people who have experience with video, obviously, people who, especially anyone who does like compositing or After Effects type work, special effects, things like that, or 3D modelers who can do like, I don't know, say matte paintings, backgrounds, things like that, without giving away too much.
A Thunder Viewer 16 asks, okay about the armies, but how is the small group interface, aka 2 to 4 people in a party or a group or squad? Absolutely, you are able to form squads and go into battle as a squad. You share in the rewards, both XP and resources that you're collecting. So whether you're in the open world or in PvP, it always pays to squad up and to help each other out. You'll see your squad mates' health and status on the side of the screen. You'll also see information about your squads on the world map, so you can quickly find out where they're at and go to them. But we really want you to be able to have the tools to very quickly coordinate battle, and so we want to give you opportunities to mark objectives, to share missions, and to also share things like if you're running a thumper and someone wants to join you, they jump in your squad, and they certainly benefit from being in that squad with you.
All right, I see a couple questions about character customization. The first one is, can we customize our characters after creating? And then the second question is, how much character customization is there when first making your person? So there's your character is important in Firefall. It's a representation of what you feel inside, and your first choices that we offer you will be interesting, but change is a positive thing, and we want you to be able to change your character over time. And so we plan on giving you lots of options to do that. War painting is just one example of how you can customize your character to be more individual. You can also customize your character with your army to be, representative of your group. War paint is just one aspect of character customization. Other areas that we're looking at are voice sets. Everybody wants a slamming mustache. I mean, who doesn't, really? So we plan on offering lots of those as well, too. Let us know how you would want to customize your characters, and if it makes sense, we'll do it.
Armadillo Kid asks, will you be able to have a personal vehicle, and if so, will you be able to customize it? The answer is absolutely yes. You'll be able to earn your own personal vehicle. And let me just throw this out. Wouldn't it be an awful shame if you couldn't customize it?
Oh, damn shame. Someone threw out a hard question. I don't mind hard questions, so I'll go ahead and pick it up even though it's not here on our main list, which is basically, was our PAX presence overblown? Damn right it was. We were sick of people saying, yeah, I heard about this game called Firefall at PAX, but I couldn't find their booth. So we decided to fix that. Maybe we overdid it, but I think
the bathrooms may have been going too far.
The bathrooms were probably a little too far.
But I don't know one person who left PAX without knowing anything about Firefall.
It's true, it worked.
I like the big thumper display. I thought that was a nice touch.
I think we won like 6 awards for our carpet. Because because
that was all Phobos, man. He's like, we are not going to show without double carpeting.
It was very plush. It was nice.
Relia asks, will US and US be able to play together? Yeah, there's no restrictions on that, but you really want to watch your ping time because if you're trying to connect to the US from Europe, it's not going to be the best experience. And we will definitely have server clusters out there in Europe, but there's nothing that's going to prevent you from connecting with each other if you really want to.
But our anti-latency technology, Mark,
it's actually pretty good. We've got European players in the beta now, and they only complain about lag half the time. So there's a 50% improvement there. Will the melding curtain be dynamic? I.e., will it be a non-moving edge, or will it be, the melding moves, dude? It's been moving for the past 3 years, and it sweeps in like a tide and sweeps out. And we're currently experimenting with ways that you can, temporarily expose areas of terrain.
When you hear the sound of the melding, you want to run, right? This is a major component to the game, and players will actually learn throughout the course of playing Firefall. They'll learn more about the melding and actually have some interesting opportunities to interface with the melding.
Will Red 5 be touring this year? I think that's Maroon 5, not Red 5 you're asking about. We're going to be at a bunch of shows. We're going to be shows are the best way to connect direct to gamers. We won't be at E3, but that's traditionally an industry show anyways, and we want to talk to gamers. So we'll be at PAX, and we're going to be at our show list will be up soon. I think Matt has more information about that.
So Tilter asks, how soon do you plan to run tournaments after the game has been released? To be honest, we've actually already held a couple tournaments, and they've been a huge success. We held a tournament. Well, internally we're doing a tournament now, but externally at last July we went to Korea and we held a tournament with 40 hardcore shooter fans in Korea, and it was a lot of fun.
Top shooter clans.
Yeah,
not just huge fans, but real professional players, and they gave the game a workout.
Yeah, and they really had a wonderful time, a wonderful experience, and they gave us some terrific feedback that we incorporated into the game. And then in November, we went back to Korea to G-Star in Busan, and we had another tournament there live and broadcast. It was broadcast, and it was there with hundreds of gamers standing around the booth, around the stage, watching our tournaments, having a blast. So I think, to answer your question, I think we've already started there, and we have big plans moving forward this year to keep the momentum going with our tournaments.
So, Frohammer has a question. Pushing back the melding, does that mean that anyone who joins the game late is going to have less to do? No. Pushing back the melding actually reveals more content, gives you more stuff to do, and there's always more melding to push back. So if you didn't make it for the first push, you can help put down repulsors and do the second one.
VSync asks about the PvE AI. How competent is the PvE AI? It's something that we're really, it's something that we're always improving on and always working on. But what's cool is that with Firefall, we wanted to invest in really building a dynamic world. We really wanted the world to feel different every single time you logged in. And so instead of having our designers hand place spawn points and hand script behaviors for what exactly this NPC is going to do when you walk by and so forth, we've actually invested in our Firefall behavior engine, which actually has the AI control their behaviors as they're going through the world based on the environments, based on what players are doing, based on surrounding enemies. So for example, 2 days ago I was running through Northern Coral Forest, and I was walking by one of our watchtowers, and I looked down the cliff and I saw all of these Chosen who were patrolling, but they got distracted because they realized there was a watchtower that was owned by the Accord right where I was at. And so they immediately started running up the hill and attacking the NPC guards that were at the watchtower. Now that was not a scripted event, that was not designed, that was not intended, really to happen. Well, it was intended to happen, but it wasn't authored to happen like that. And so our AI is really designed to support these really interesting, cool kind of encounters that maybe we haven't even intended from time to time, right? Like that things are just happening and the world is alive.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be lots of emergent gameplay based around, the NPCs, their motivation, what it is that they're trying to achieve, and then you coming along and ruining their day. And in turn, they also want to ruin your day as well, too. So one of the other questions I saw at the top was about additional vehicles in terms of our LGV. Well, if you've watched any of our videos, you've probably seen a couple. We have the dropship, and we also have the APC. We do plan on adding more vehicles to the game that do different sorts of services for the players. But I'm adamant that fighting against a vehicle as a pedestrian player has to be a fun experience. So you won't see us putting vehicles in that ruin that experience from the pedestrian player versus the vehicle. Because I want to be able to shoot you in the face, and if I can't do it while you're driving the vehicle, then there's something wrong with that.
So there's a question, I can't see the name, but can you distract the AI? And yeah, that's absolutely another case where, sometimes you'll be being chased by some spiderites or mosquitoes, and if you run them into a group of opposing type of creatures, or let's say Chosen, they'll actually start fighting each other, and you can stand back and actually take a break and heal up and feel good about yourself for using the environment to actually help yourself in the battle.
I see a question about level cap that I've been avoiding from Sergeant Feelgood. We're not announcing what our level cap is right now, so sorry about that. Then I see a question about, will the Chosen be released right after you open the PvE? When the open world goes live, Chosen invasions are definitely going to be dynamic events that you'll see. Our achievements still in the game by Chocobo Groms. Achievements are planned. They are not currently in the game. That's something that is very important to us, though. And let's see. Talk server system, cross-server play, one giant server. We actually don't have individual servers. We have channels, and so basically we have about 300 players per open world fragment, and we prefer to group you by your friends list as well as your army affiliations, but you can also channel hop if you want. Let's see, who is the third person in the cosplay program? Wouldn't you like to know? That will be revealed in the near future, I hope. I really want to get started to do more with the cosplay stuff, and we've got some more stuff planned for that will be coming online too, probably on stage 5.
Will there be other movement abilities besides jump jets and gliders? Absolutely.
So FF Ganja asks, how much beer do you guys drink each day? And this is really kind of a hand-in-hand question for how do you get into the beta for Firefall? Because if you actually send beer, you will increase our beer drinking quotient as well as earning yourself a spot in the beta.
What kind of beer do you guys like?
Oh, man.
So we have a fairly eclectic taste. We all have different preferences, ranging from porters to, whatever.
There's a shrine for Guinness.
But our goal is, we think that you are drinking some really awesome stuff, and we want to know what it is. So send us your favorite drink.
There's a question, would you guys describe combat as Twitch-based, like older FPS, or more along the line of modern shooters? And, to be honest, we do talk about Twitch level of the game, and really we've tried to design Firefall to be approachable and accessible to, a wide range of gamers with different skill levels as well as different styles of combat. And so we've designed battle frames such as the Recon to really reward pixel perfect accuracy and to really play into the twitch level that that a lot of gamers really prefer. And but we've also designed battle frames such as the Engineer or the Medic to be maybe on the lower end of the twitch factor, but to have other options for tactical combat.
Well, I think, part of the question was, what's the feel of the shooting action like? And we're less like a Call of Duty, I would say. Some players have said we feel a little bit like Unreal, we feel a little bit like Quake, a little bit like Tribes. And so maybe on that spectrum, is that accurate, Scott, that we're probably closer to that, closer about the mobility and everything else, and than the more static, in some ways, modern shooter. So what happens if the player goes into the melding? Panda failed. That's an interesting name. Wow much? So what will happen if you go into the melding? Bad things. Basically your armor will start to smoke. It's not a barrier that you can't penetrate. In fact, people in the beta have been trying to. We have a little taste of the melding in there. They've been trying to use medics to daisy chain or daisy heal their way deeper and deeper into the melding because you take a lot of damage. Hasn't worked so far, but I expect somebody someday to get to places where they're not supposed to.
And there'll be something cool when you get there. So, see a question from Bresl's. Will there be a metagame in terms of loadout so people will use guides and stuff like that, or can you truly customize however you like and still be balanced? So in terms of being able to customize a loadout, battle frames are really geared toward being played a certain way. But within that, we want you to have lots of opportunities to kind of specialize how you intend to play that battle frame in that particular way. So to give you an example of one example of that, we have our medic battle frame where your choices include not only just your abilities, but also your primary weapon. And so one of the alt fires is like a vampiric lock-on beam weapon, which is more of an offensive style weapon choice versus the overheal, which is more of a team support choice. So even though I'm playing a medic, just my choice of an alt fire can influence how I tend to play that particular loadout. And that's one of the real power behind the loadout system for Firefall, is that we want you to think of, I want to play this guy that way, and then maximize your ability to do that by your ability modules, your battle frame modules, your weapon frame modules, and how you choose to use those.
Hey Superior, what's up? What's happening, man? One of our most active beta testers asks for competitive play, will you have things like monthly ladders? Absolutely, we have big plans for our competitive side of the game with ladders, leaderboards, as well as leagues. We want players to be able to jump in and join leagues that are relative to their skill level, and to be able to join as armies and to go head-to-head with others as well. Okay, we have 4 minutes.
Frohammer asks, what is the point of living? Oh, leveling. And the point of leveling is to basically, you do get a modest power increase, but it unlocks more types of battle frames that you can equip, give you higher power slots, and you can equip more types of gear to give you more tactical options in combat. Blind What If asks, are items dropped freely, picked up, or specific to you? They are freely picked. Yes, they are. Because you have access to all the battle frames, all the gear is theoretically usable to you. Insp _ asks, do you plan to release some Firefall API? Yes, we do. We're building a web services API into the game that we use internally right now, and we will begin to reveal that as it matures to the general public. Miniman 10,000 asks, is the repulsor drop down the same way as the thumper? Not quite. So right now you don't deploy repulsors in the beta, and we haven't figured out exactly how that's going to work yet.
We have ideas.
Scott has ideas.
There's a question about asking, when are we planning to reveal our 6th battle frame? Later.
As soon as you guys push back the melding, maybe it'll happen. All right, Fapcore says, will we be able to join multiple armies to play with different groups of friends, but perhaps only represent one at a time and only have use of that one's tech tree that we're representing? That's an interesting question. What do you guys think?
There's a question, any other languages? I didn't see the first question, Techie09. Were you asking programming languages or localized languages? Do you see, Matt?
About local.
We use a wide range. C++ is
Ones and zeros mostly.
binary, baby. Ones and zeros. We use a lot of C++, but we also have a lot of different tools that we use C#, and we have a lot of web services as well. We're big on, what's that? Lua. We're big on Ruby. We use Lua for our UI and some of our encounter support as well.
DJ Jazzman asks, will there be cash shop cosmetics like other weapons that look different than the current weapons we see? For example, the assault rifle that is used in the cinematic cosplay video. Yes, you've picked up on the fact that that's nowhere to be seen in the game currently. Since we've spent so much time building it, though, you could probably rest assured it'll appear in the game somewhere, maybe even as a commercial look upgrade. Yeah, we want to do a lot of stuff with looks, but we're not going to do any sort of weapon swaps right now, and we have to be careful about those because you want to be able to recognize the weapon that you're fighting against. Let's see. Panda failed. How many weapons modules will there be in the game? Will there be restricted for certain classes? Will they be universal? Will there be universal weapons which are in general more average? That's a lot of questions in one question. We've generated tons of modules. What we're doing is we're trying to filter that down to the core that's going to be really fun and usable. It's not about how much you have. It's how well you use what you have and how interesting you can make it. Well, I'm going to ask, how hard is it going to be to rate players for PvP with different battle frames and skill levels on each? It's a bitch, and that's why we're not using a rating system right now to matchmake people in the beta, because we are still working on that.
So K-Food Party says, has anyone cut Apex's hair yet? And I don't think there are a pair of scissors on this planet that will get through that.
But the night is young.
All right.
All right.
And I think that brings us to the end of our chat.
Jesus Christ.
It's Tiki time here at Red 5, and we want to thank you guys also very much for joining us here. It's always nice to chat with you all.
Thank you.
Rock and roll. Keep it real. Break it down.
Awesome. Thank
Respect.
You so
Thank you, Destructoid and Daniel, for
Thank you,
joining
Daniel.
us.
Thank you, guys.
Destructoid.
Have a great night.
It's Tiki
See you guys online.
time.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it, man.
All right.
Cool. Let's start drinking.
Okay.